Sigrid McDonald. She's a microbiologist in training and research coordinator at the Scientific Research Center at Academic Hospital.
That's okay, carry on.
Is there something wrong?
Yeah, so it can be, but sometimes
You can set the start the front of the throat, don't let it look like.
I slide at me on it, but I'll stand in front of you.
So that's not the fault, it's not the right one. It's, my apologies, okay, anyway, we have the real one. The real and the best. She obtained her medical degree at the Free University of Amsterdam at the Netherlands, and in 2006, and then started her work in the field of infectious diseases and public health in Suriname, South America, as a clinician. Now she's studying prevalence and determinants of hepatitis and HIV infection in Surinamese population as part of her PhD. Thank you so much, and I apologize for it.
Good afternoon. Thank you for having me here. It was first to be Dr. Vreden, Stefan Vreden. I think most of the people from Caribbean know him, but he could not make it, so he sent me as his representative. So Dr. Vreden is over there, and I'm on the other side. This is the real me. So I will be talking about challenges in achieving 1990 in Suriname. For those, I think most people know what Suriname is, but just to quickly recap, we're in the north of South America, so we're on the South American continent, but we feel Caribbean, so we're confused a little bit. We have about 500,000 inhabitants, and we're very multi-ethnic. About 1 to 2% of our adult population is living with HIV. We do have key populations, and there's been a survey done under the sex workers, and there we found a prevalence of about 5.8%. These are data from UNAIDS, from Suriname, of course. Half of them, of all people living with HIV, are on ART, and all of the people living with HIV, 36% have suppressed viral loads. So, like every other country in the Caribbean, I know we have many different national plans, and it's really been a commitment from the Ministry of Health to tackle HIV in our country. Also in Suriname, we're going for the 19-90-90. I actually had an interesting discussion with a friend of mine, and she's like, why not 100, 100, 100? And I was like, yeah, actually, I never thought of that. She's like, why not be more ambitious? I was like, if we can do 19-90-90, I'm going to be very happy. But yeah, we want to have 90% viral suppression by 2020, so we're looking at how we're doing. Just a quick organization, how HIV/AIDS is cared for in Suriname. We have different VCT sites. It's mostly public health based, so we actually wanted every general physician to be able to treat someone with HIV. We have, we have a sort of a public health approach. However, we see that most of our patients are actually under care in hospitals, so about 60% are in fact in hospitals. There are national guidelines provided by our Ministry of Health. We have a yearly training on HIV. It's really well visited. It's a collaboration with Dutch experts in HIV, of which Frank Kroon is also sitting here. It's actually a whole week. They also visit different institutions, and it's really, really interesting. It's also on-site learning. I'm glad to say our ARVs are free of charge for everyone. Also, undocumented people, doesn't matter who you are eligible for ARVs. And they are only available through hospital pharmacies. But just a sideline here, we have noticed that if we give it to like smaller places, so if we go to the districts and we say like, okay, you can pick it up at your pharmacy, people will not go there because of stigma. They will not go. So it has both sides to the story. Just another part, ARVs are provided free of charge. CD4 and viral load is also free of charge. But if you are not insured and not documented, you will not be able to do all the other tests. So your liver function, your kidney function, and that will have to be out of pocket. So that is also, it's quite a big part of your treatment and care. I know this is a very busy slide, but the ones in bold are the most important. As you can see here, the number of new cases have increased. This could be seen as alarming first, that's what I thought, and then I thought maybe our testing is just getting out there, and I think that is true. I know that since a few years, all pregnant women are all tested, but that's already for a long time. But we try to get the partners tested too, directly. Like you're here, we're going to test your partner. We're being more active in testing of partners, and I hope that that is the reason. Also, when I was really active in healthcare for HIV, 2/3 of our patients come in with a CD4 count of 200. We were like, no, prevalence is not decreasing. If the most patients that we see come in with like really severe stage with opportunistic infections, you can't say that our prevalence is decreasing. So I think this is a more accurate reflection of our population than before. Luckily, the number of people on our ART is also increasing. We have about 2,400 on, so about half of the population of HIV. And our PMTCT, I'm actually quite proud of that, where we reached 0 at one point, and now it's between 2 and 3%. I find each child too many, one too many, but these are actually always the women that just come in and deliver and have the baby. And I'm sure it's very recognizable for everyone else here. They've just skipped and evaded healthcare, which is very regrettable for the child that comes out of that pregnancy. So what we wanted to do was, how are we doing? The largest hospital in Suriname is the academic hospital. About half of the patients are there. And we looked at all people who first came into care from 2015 to 2017. Just a little recap of the academic hospital and what's going on there. There's a Center of Excellence for Neglected Infectious Diseases. So we have about 2,000 HIV patients. We have 2 infectiologists who also do internal medicine. There's one doctor that does actually all the HIV care, and there's one HIV nurse. So it's quite little people for a big population. We do not know how many are diagnosed, of course. We do know how many are linked to care. And with that, we want to see, everyone was 90, that's what we're going to look at. So we stopped in June 2017 because people had to be linked to care for at least 6 months. So end of June, we had a very, how do you say that? Very eager, he was very good at his master's. He was a master's in public health. He went through all the records, they're all paper-based. So it was a lot of work, and he looked at these items. You had to be linked to care between 2015 and 17. You had to have had one CD4 viral load assessment or consultation in 2017. I find it a very optimistic retention in care definition, but that was our definition. You had to have, if you were on ART, you would have to have 2 ART prescriptions within 2017, 3 months apart. They were also verified. Sometimes it could be 6 months apart. And virally suppressed was when your viral load was under 100 copies per minute. Milliliter. So this is our data. Linked to care is of course 100%. So there were about 500 people linked to care. And you see directly 2/3 were retained in care. So this is a problem. But this is what surprised us. 92.3% were on ART of those that were retained in care. And of those, under 90% were actually virally suppressed. So this was, we thought like, oh, someone's coming to look at our data, it's going to be awful. But the last 2 parts, we were quite happy. But of course, the retention in care, that is really bad. And I think everyone in all the previous presentations have mentioned the problems that we encounter. But we also looked at our cohort, so why do these people not stay in care? This is the Caribbean 1990. And you see we're pretty much doing a little bit better on the ART and the virally suppressed part, but as we all know, Caribbean is that's what makes us a Caribbean. So, concluding, significant loss in retention of care, at least a third. Luckily, those that are retaining care, more than 90% are put on ART, and those of ART are, for 85%, they are virally suppressed. But what do? What happens? Why are we not doing better? Why are we not keeping our people in care? So we took a subset, 60 of the 300, and I don't know if it's a Caribbean thing, but half of them could not be reached. And either they've changed their phone number, or they just do not want to pick up. They know the hospital number. 10 claimed insurance issues. This is true. We're having very difficult insurance problems down there. Makes it a problem. So people have to now pay a year of insurance money to be insured. It makes it difficult, and it's just a lot of money. We're in a financial crisis, and it's absolutely horrible. 8 just really refused treatment. So yeah, what can you do? 3 did agree to re-enter, but that is merely 5% of the people that we have lost of this group. 5 had migrated, so there's a lot of migration going on to our colleagues in the East. And 5 had other reasons. 1 was incarcerated, 1 had deceased. Maybe of the 29, that could have also been someone could have been deceased. And 3 said they had switched to another caregiver. We don't know if it's true or if that was a wishful answer for us, but in any case, these are all things that gave us an idea on what's happening. So, who is more likely to not achieve a viral suppression? Well, of course, it's the socially, economically disadvantaged people, the group. We know if you're not undetectable, you can still transmit the virus. So, detectable is transmissible. It's not, I was thinking back to my philosophy days, but this is really the case, that if it's not one, you are definitely more transmissible. We want to get the group, let me see, image for the group here. If we can keep that group in care, keep them virally suppressed, transmission will not increase. So this is what we know. We know there's a poor acceptance. We know people take alternative medicines. We have our traditional healers, but we also have the neighbors saying, listen, I know this plant, and if you take this plant, it will help you, And of course, it's also a certain acceptance because you want to just get rid of it. So I do understand. And of course, you'll have to take medicine for the rest of your life. People don't want to do this. Stigma, it's on number 4 here, but I think we can maybe shift it up to number 1. And fear of being isolated is definitely still a big problem. I know from patients that they have their own special plate and their own special fork and their own, it's just, we're not there yet. But we also have some issues on the health care provider side. As I told you, we have limited staff. We have, so don't it take a few? Yes, I'm completely with you. We want that too. I agree. So less vulnerable once daily regimes. We now have the Atripla, but we also know about the side effects of interference. We have genotyping. Of course, it's not something you really need. It's good to have it, but not all the time. Safeguarding the budget for ARVs is one of our biggest issues now. We do have stockouts. Money is a problem, and our financial situation is getting really bad. And of course, you have to continue your health promotion. Also to people living with HIV. Legislative side, it's been mentioned, but I'm going to mention it again. Improve and provide access to health for undocumented and uninsured people. And this is where we're part of the International Labour Organization. You're not allowed to test for HIV. You're not allowed to be fired because you have HIV, yet you do it. There are many companies that before you work, you do an HIV test, and if it's negative, or if it's positive, you're not hired. But many people who know their status will just say, thank you very much, I'm not sure. And they will not have they don't want to make it activism. Thank you. So, HIV epidemic worldwide. does not seem to go down globally. So we see, luckily we see a decrease in larger areas, but not everywhere. And that's what we've seen also here during this week. Actively diagnosing, keeping people in care and treating people in care, treating people to have a virally suppressed node needs to be strengthened, and it needs to be actively followed to decrease transmission. But if we don't do that, if we don't get that group that we lose, we will not get our 90-90-90 or our 100.
Questions from the audience, comments?
Retention is really a big issue, not just for your side, but all over. What we found that has helped a lot is reducing the time patients spend in the clinic. So people who are very suppressed, they see a nurse as opposed to a physician. And the medication is right there in the specialized clinic. And they are in and out within 30 minutes. We found that the adherence is over 95% in that.
Yes, I can definitely understand that. Because I know that patients, and it's not only in the patients living with HIV, but also any other patient, you take a day off to go to the hospital to check your diabetes, your hypertension. And so yes, but then again, you still also need manpower. But I think it's a very good idea. I'll take it back to my country.
I just have an idea. What about trying health systems? I mean, I know we're walking behind, but what about that? Because, I mean, my patients in Aruba, they don't want to spend time in my office. They want to talk to me, so they're asking me all the time or emailing. So what about that? I mean, would it be an idea?
Yeah, it is an idea, except I don't know how many patients actually have a smartphone, that have an app.
Well, I first, I mean,
I have, but true, I do know they're starting something for cardio heart valve, an app for that. I don't know. The thing is, also the finance is an issue. Some people will not. It takes like 5 hours a day to come to the hospital and 5 hours a day to go back. You know, you'd rather spend that money for your bus, for your kids, if you have to. It's very complicated, but
I think it's a financial problem, of course. What about PrEP?
we're working on it. Definitely working on it. We need to get our patient group active. Yes, very good, thank you.
Thank you so much. I think you're doing a great job with the ones you keep. So I think it's a matter of making sure that you find other strategies to attract the ones who have not been retained. But you're doing a good job with the ones you're working. So don't be discouraged. I think. Yeah. Thank you so much.